All right. Rolling. We're going.
All right, let's do it.
How do we start this?
I think
This
we
is the
just
first-
did. I think we just did.
Brian, hit the theme music.
Boom!
1, 2. Is this on? Is this on?
All right, play it again. I know it's one. You have to shut up, because I gotta listen.
He was like calling him by his first name. Dave, please stop me. You're supposed to be my friend.
It's gotta be on here somewhere. 3, 2, 1, Keith Lee. Damn it!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and honor to introduce you to the first ever episode of...
The Mustache Bros Wrestling Podcast. Sorry, I just hit your
My
head.
headphones are falling off.
Boom. Sorry about that, John. We're a mess, but we're a mess because we're excited. Guys, this is our first ever Mustache Bros Wrestling Podcast.
For audio listeners, we just did the
episode.
mustache thing.
We did the mustache thing. Hey, and if you listen to this, check it out on YouTube because the full video is there as well. But John, I am very excited to be here simply because we've been making wrestling videos for the last few months.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And, we started making a few videos just, in hopes of, we get some people to like it. We didn't really have any expectations, really, nothing too high. Blew up.
Yeah, so
Went crazy.
I guess if you want, because this is gonna be a little bit of an introductory episode. We're
Right.
not really gonna get too in depth about we just did our predictions video. Which, hey, if you haven't seen our AEW Double or Nothing predictions video, go check that out. We did that yesterday. But, yeah, I mean, I remember it was just a thing where I was kind of starting to take over the YouTube channel a little bit more in a more of a manager, creative role, and then we were just trying to come up with ideas. And it is obvious, and I've said it before, so it's not like we're trying to hide anything. But I am very inspired by the Hive Mind guys.
Yep.
And I just came up. I was like, well, what if we guess wrestling theme songs after 3 seconds? Because they do the whatever after 3 seconds song, whatever. And we just did it, and then that was when our YouTube channel was a lot smaller.
Right.
And I came in the next day and it had 10,000 views. And especially at that time.
For us,
yeah,
that's a lot.
1,000 views, we were like, okay, that's a good video.
Yep.
And then that one just went crazy.
Yeah.
And then the 10,000 didn't stop. It kept going.
Following up on it.
Going.
And we kept putting out banger after
Yeah.
banger after banger.
And then I think we just kind of realized
There's something here.
yeah, we should probably just keep making wrestling videos.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of organically turned into its own thing. I guess
I organically shaved my facial hair to keep my mustache so we can officially call ourselves the Mustache Bros.
because it hasn't always been Mustache Bros. For a while, it was Lumberlend Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then we're just like, well, we want to kind of make this its own. We're obviously within Lumberland, we want to make it its own brand. And then you were doing the mustache thing for a little bit, and we're just like, well, let's just ride with it.
Let's just do it. And here we are.
And here we are, episode 1 of the Mustache Bros Wrestling Podcast. And we couldn't be here without any of you.
Absolutely.
You guys were really championing us to start a podcast, and you guys watch all the videos. And now, the output's really going to be crazy. I think we're going up to 5 videos a week soon.
Yeah.
This is 3. Next week we got video games. We're playing My GM mode, and then we have a additional Saturday video on top of the podcast now.
This is literally all because of the fans, people
It's
that watch our
crazy.
videos. If we didn't get as much support as we have, we wouldn't have made a podcast. We wouldn't have made a separate YouTube channel. We wouldn't be making 5 wrestling videos a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, we're very grateful for you guys, and we always will be. So we're very happy to give you this podcast now, something to listen to. Obviously we have the YouTube playing the games and predictions and stuff, but now something else. Talk about some wrestling, just what's on our mind. We're going to be talking about, what's going on in the week of wrestling, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, maybe. I know me and you aren't really too caught up with that. AEW, pay-per-views, all that stuff. Even other wrestling promotions, something major happens, whatever.
And I think what we're kind of agreeing on too is we definitely want to stay we don't want to make it just a review
rundown.
podcast.
No.
It's not going to be a rundown.
By no means.
It's going to be way more just opinions, takes, and then and I think this was your biggest idea is a lot of episodes are going to be we'll talk about the current landscape and that whatever happened at AEW last night was great, but also it's different shows are gonna have different topics in terms of like nostalgia stuff or what's your favorite match or
Right.
what's just like different discussion points that I think will blend the two nicely, and maybe we stand out a little bit.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We will. Hey,
know.
you guys have questions you want us to answer too? Let
Oh,
us
that's a good
know.
idea.
That's
I
not a
didn't
bad
think of
idea
that.
either. You guys have fan-submitted questions, we can answer them on the podcast. But obviously today, first episode, I think we're just kind of getting our feet wet. I think we've done the Patreon podcast. You guys want to get behind the paywall
Yeah.
for a Patreon exclusive podcast. Me and John, we've done a few of those.
Yep.
And which led to us basically just talking about wrestling.
Yeah,
For most of those
it was
podcasts.
basically the prefix to this podcast.
Right. So we would talk about when we started becoming fans, why we're fans, where, who our favorites were and stuff like that. So I think this is a good starting point to just kind of, get you guys familiar with, where it all started, why we're fans and all that stuff. So we want to talk about that. I want to jump right into it.
Yeah. You want to go? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I became a wrestling fan. I think it had to have been 2006 or something like that. So probably 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, just scrolling through the channels on a Friday night. I could scroll by the CW. What do I see? Wow. The Undertaker and Kane versus MVP, and I believe it was Finley
Wow.
or Mr. Kennedy or someone like that.
Those are my favorite. I don't want. I'll tell my side obviously, but that was 2006, 2005 was also the same. I'm a couple years older, but the exact same point pretty much. It was when the SmackDown versus Raw 06 or whatever was coming out. So that was the exact same point, and that era of SmackDown.
Unbelievable.
It's just so good. I mean, the four names you just Undertaker, Kane. That was when MVP was there. Finley was at the top of his game at his older run or whatever you want to call it. Teddy Long coming out. I mean,
Oh my God.
That's my
Holla, holla, holla.
that is my most, I guess, nostalgic looking back period. It's that era of the 2006 to 2009 SmackDown on Friday nights.
You had the big fist set up too.
Yeah.
Oh my
the
God.
fist.
Talk about
bring back the fist.
Talk about iconic. Oh my God.
But all right, go ahead.
And from that point on, I mean, it just caught. I think I literally tuned into just that last match,
Yeah.
and it just drew me in.
Hooked you.
I became when I tell you, growing up, everyone has their fix. You have that one thing, or maybe a few things, a part of your life that just you obsess over something.
Yep.
Wrestling, I obsessed over this for a while. I had the action figures, the notebooks for school. I had the WWE encyclopedia. I wanted.
Your mom buys you the WWE shirts. They're sold at TJ
Shirts,
Maxx,
t-shirt,
but they're not the authentic ones, but they're the wrestling ones.
What else did I collect? The title belts, just the little kids belt. I mean,
those are the ones, right? Those are the ones that we use.
The Intercontinental, the Predictions, ECW belt. Dude, I had posters. I had posters on my wall. Batista, Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, all these guys. I obsessed over wrestling. And then, obviously, I some kids I went to middle school with, some of them watched it. So, we would talk about it in school and stuff. As time goes on, you get a little older. You kind of realize, you understand it's not real. Obviously, when you're young, you think, oh, they're really fighting and stuff. When Vince McMahon's limousine blew up and I thought he legitimately died, my stepdad had to be don't want to break it to you, but he's not dead.
Yeah, my dad also did the same thing. Right, he felt the need to let his kid know, you did. I promise you didn't just watch a man die on.
Right, yeah. So you kind of realize all that stuff, as you get older.
When I started watching it, about maybe I want to say 2 to 4 months before Eddie passed.
Okay.
So I was because I was already the huge Ray fan. I've always been. Ray's my number one, but obviously I was becoming a huge Eddie fan, and I remember similar to the limousine thing. Obviously that is fake, and obviously Eddie, whatever.
Right.
But that was another moment of I remember my dad saying it's such a shame, you're really becoming a big fan of him, and I was genuinely sad, and then that was a point where he had to be it was just a learning experience opportunity of oh, this thing that you love so much, sometimes this bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
This is a part of, I guess it was just a life lesson.
Yeah,
I guess
no,
that wrestling gave you. I don't know.
Young too.
Yeah.
Something like that. But kind of just breezing through. You know, you get a little older, you don't watch as much. I always like, even if I wasn't watching it consistently, I follow them on social media. I understood what was going on and stuff. High school kind of took a step back, but still I knew people that, you know, liked it and stuff. We'd watch like the WrestleManias, Royal Rumbles, just like to get together. College really picked it up again because my college roommates loved wrestling growing up, and when we figured that out, we'd watch Raw, SmackDown, all the pay-per-views together, and that kind of built up.
And you did the same thing that like my friends do. Is we'd like you. I mean, that's what started us doing the predictions on the channel. Is we would do this with our friends, and like in like college or like whatever. Like, which like when we were talking about it on the Patreon podcast, like I was very not shocked, but it was nice. It was funny to hear how many similarities. Yeah. Like we both kind of fell off in high school. We both got back to it in college. We both found our little friends that like liked it.
1000%.
And then we'd make nights of the pay-per-view nights, and we'd get pizza and do predictions.
College,
and compete.
Watch Royal Rumble, do drinking games.
So
whenever
sick.
someone comes in, you do a drink or something. So yeah, and that really just revamped my love for it. And you know, I do still watch like AEW. I'll try to watch that every Wednesday. Celtics were last night, so I didn't watch it then. But like, you know, I try to watch as much as I can, or at least have it on the background. And now that we're doing this, I mean, it's kind of our job now.
It's kind of our job.
So it's crazy how full circle that comes.
I'm not kidding. This is gonna be the stupidest thing I've ever said.
No,
but I have. This is like recent. This is like a month or two ago. I've told a girl, "Oh, I can't go out with you Wednesday." It's a dumb read. Don't make me say why. It's a dumb read. And she said,
"Because I gotta watch wrestling."
It was like,
this is what our life is now. Sorry, I can't go out with you. I got AEW Dynamite's on tonight. There's a steel Wardlow and Sean Spears steel cage. Can't miss it.
And I had to say like. There's like a big wrestling event on tonight. It's kind of like for my job a little bit.
There's implications for the pay-per-view on Sunday. I can't miss it. You know, I got a podcast in the morning. I can't really miss it.
I honestly think it was one of the, because I remember it might have been like one of like the Winter is Coming show.
Sure,
It was one of those special
like a pay-per-view Dynamite.
Yeah,
thing,
it was one of those special Dynamite shows because I remember because if it was just a regular Dynamite, I might have just like we can, but
fine. I'll give you the first hour. Second 9 to 10 though, I'm watching Dynamite.
Whatever bar we're at, I'm gonna tell them to turn on Dynamite. But yeah, it is a little. I'm not proud of that, but like it was like a month or two ago.
That's awesome. That's like, so great.
Wednesday is not gonna work.
It's like, ooh, Wednesdays are a tough night for me. How about Mondays? Ooh, Friday? No.
Sunday, this Sunday.
Yeah, you're talking about this Sunday or the next one? Because this Sunday I am busy.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, luckily for some reason she went out with me a different time. She would have had fully the right to never talk to me.
She
again.
goes, "Oh wait, AEW's on Wednesday? Oh, I got the days mixed up."
How could I know? And that's our date that we watched Dynamite.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I wasn't proud of that.
All right, you tell us about your origin story.
I guess before that, you mentioned Rey Mysterio. Yeah. Have I told you about the story when I like met Rey Mysterio? Did I ever tell you that?
Maybe you've told me a iteration of it, but tell me.
It just kind of, I guess it's just kind of like a sidebar to the fandom story, but kind of just related to you, just like having like all the T-shirts and all the action figures and whatever. I currently still like. I won't buy action figures anymore, but if I'm at like a flea market or like whatever and I see a Rey Mysterio figure, I'll still buy it.
Hell yeah.
Rey Mysterio is still the stuff that like I have like a Rey Mysterio collection. Like I'll buy anything Rey Mysterio.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Like old school stuff.
But anyway, biggest Rey Mysterio fan, and my dad, two of my friends, and like their uncle or whatever. There's this place called World of Wheels in like Western Mass somewhere, and it's like wow. Not to be confused with World of Warcraft, but it's this big convention hall, and be like, oh, like come check out this thing, and also Rey Mysterio's doing a signing, whatever. And I remember, and God bless my dad, and like they waited standing in line with us for like it was like 4 to 5 hours, just standing in line waiting, and to the point where like we were there for an autograph, and it was funny watching him too, because sometimes he would like get up because he was sitting there signing autographs for 5 hours, and he would like get up and like take his mask. He'd go like behind the curtain, take his mask off, wipe off his sweaty head, come back. Or like you'd tell his hand was cramping up.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, he's got to be hot wearing that mask the whole time.
And there was like a cutoff of like autographs. So we didn't get an autograph, but they're like, okay, everyone else can still do a picture.
Sure.
But it was like on you to take the picture. And remember, this is like 2007, 2008.
Before
and
like iPhones.
so my dad just has this piece of shit flip phone.
Oh, no.
And he's also not like a tech dude, so he doesn't like take pictures anyway. And I remember we got up on stage, and I remember just being like a young kid, just being like, hey, Ray. It was adorable. I should find the picture somewhere, but it's like he has like his arms around the three of us, and my dad, which is like the shakiest hand imaginable, with this piece of shit flip phone from 2007. It is the shakiest and blurriest picture But the thing is, like, I still love it because like the memory it has.
Yeah.
But like looking at it, you can't tell what the fuck is going on.
Who are you taking a picture
You
with?
genuinely can't tell. But so yeah, that was like, I guess like that was reason for that story, to kind of speak to the fandom of just like how into it like I was and my friends were, especially as young kids, and my dad was into it, and he was into it. My dad was like a fan of it. Like he was older, so he grew up like watching Hulk Hogan and like Bruno Sammartino and whatever. And he obviously like, didn't really watch it as like, I think he probably started watching it when he was like 20 or whatever. But then, I came along, and then he just like, my mom hated it. My mom didn't want us watching it at all. It's like violent, whatever. But yeah, God bless him for standing that fucking line and
That's awesome.
But so yeah, and honestly, my fandom story is similar to you, very similar to you. Whereas, again, like Friday night or whatever, scrolling through the channels, and I remember I passed like, it could be one of these things like my brain's making up, but I thought I remembered like it was like a John Cena entrance.
Sure. Okay.
And I was like, what's that? I made him go back, and we just like watched a little bit of it, but we ended up scrolling by. It was like my mom didn't want to watch it, like whatever. But it kind of stuck because I was like, what was that?
What was that?
And I
Who
remember
was that,
maybe like a
man?
week or two later, I remember just saying to my dad, like, hey, what like was that? Was that because I think he said like, oh, that's like wrestling or
He's
whatever.
like, son, that was John Cena.
Well, listen, your whole world's about to change.
you might want to sit down for this one.
And it's just the same thing. Like my dad just showed it to me because he loved it as a kid, and from then on, it became. I didn't watch Raw that much, which I guess like
Monday night,
school
night. I was always a SmackDown guy. Myself.
Same. Maybe it's obvious in like some of the quizzes. Like my SmackDown, my Raw knowledge from that era isn't the strongest, but that like 2006 to like 2010, like SmackDown was my shit.
Hell yeah.
And then, so yeah, we'd always like get pizza and watch SmackDown together, and that was the night.
That's awesome.
And then like you, I fell off in high school, but I would keep up. Like I'd find like the news about it, or I'd want to know who won like that year's Royal Rumble, and just kind of keep up to date. And then, I don't want to rehash the same story, but in college, getting back into it, I found that some of my friends liked it and whatever, and then we started doing the same thing. We'd go over my buddy's house and watch it and do like a pizza night, and we'd do the predictions, and we'd compete, and we'd talk about it, and we'd go. I don't know how many events you've been to, but like I went to like a small house show when I was a kid, and I saw like Sabu and The Undertaker. I remember I made a Sabu sign. He pointed at it.
That's awesome.
And then the only big show I've been to was Hell in a Cell 2018 when it was Sasha versus Charlotte. Yeah. That was the only one I've been to live. I was going to go to like a Monday Night Raw. I've never been to like a Raw or SmackDown.
I've been to one of Raw and one of SmackDown.
See, I feel like the TV tapings aren't that great to go to. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. The thing is like they only come around your area so often.
Right.
So it's like sometimes it's like, okay, they haven't been here in like 6 months, a year. It's like, okay.
Would you go to Worcester or TD Garden?
So I have never been to the one in Worcester.
Oh,
They have been there recently that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
If I did, potentially, probably would have. I've only been to the ones in Boston. And I think I've been to a Raw. The most recent event I went to was Raw 2017. It was right before the SummerSlam. It was Roman, Brock, Braun, Samoa Joe had a like little thing before the show ended. I went to SmackDown as a kid, and you said sign, and this made me think of it. So I went to Survivor Series. I believe it was 08. It was John Cena came back. It was his return.
Nice.
Return to Boston, so hometown. Everyone was going crazy. I had a sign. And I made it. I don't know if the wording might be a little off, but this was what it was. There was a triple threat match that night. It was between Vladimir Kozlov, throwback, Triple H, Jeff Hardy. Triple threat for the WWE belt. Jeff Hardy eventually wasn't in the match, storyline stuff, whatever. I made a sign that says, Vladimir Kozlov sucks. Triple H is okay. Jeff Hardy's the new champ. Because Jeff Hardy was and still is my favorite wrestler ever. So I remember making that. My mom was like, you can't bring this. You can't say he sucks. And I'm like, Mom, I was like,
You don't get it.
I'm like, I'm 10. I was like, it's fine. I just say the guy's not going to see it. We're going to, like, I'm the guy. First of all, it wasn't even a big sign. It was like this big rectangular, like, I had to like really like squeeze in the words because of how small it was. I was like, it ain't a big deal. Trust me.
Yeah.
And another funny thing too, I played like basketball in middle school and stuff like that. And I think it was 7th grade. There was one game, last game of the season, 8th graders, they came in first half, and they let all the other kids play the second half. So I played the second half. I hit like 4 or 5 threes.
Huge.
And after like the second or third, I started doing the Jeff Hardy entrance. When he goes down, he starts doing the thing. I can't even tell you how embarrassing that was. And my parents.
Wait, were you on the court?
I hit the 3 and I'd like go on the like run back on defense doing like the hand thing. Swear to God. And I remember they thought it was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
And like obviously at the time I was like, yeah, like that was funny.
Yeah,
And I look back on it, I'm just like, wow, what a cringy idiot I was. But that's how obsessed I was with wrestling.
That is funny to like think back upon, like, because I remember like being like that age and like you're constantly doing like the you can't see me,
the Batista guns,
the Batista guns. I remember I was a big like the V1 Matt Hardy.
100%.
What else was there? I mean, there's just a ton of just like little just like,
Undertaker eyes roll in the back.
Yeah,
of your
just a ton
head.
of just like little things that like you would just do as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
The DX suck it
chop.
is
I mean,
really,
how many times have I got sent to the principal's office doing the DX chop? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Iconic. But yeah, man, I mean, just my love for wrestling. I mean, as a kid, I was obsessed with it to the point where I was doing stupid things like that. And like even now, I mean, here we are in the office doing DX chops to each other all day. It's crazy.
And like I guess like a little peek behind the curtain too is when you started here a few months before me.
Right.
And when I started, like I'm like it's not a secret, like I'm not the big I'm the most casual sports fans. You know, like Celtics in the playoffs, I'll watch the Celtics.
Sure.
I probably won't watch preseason regular season games. A buddy of mine, Steve, sometimes will get us like tickets. I love going to the games.
Right.
I mean, that's obviously a whole different thing. Patriots, I try to watch the Patriots. Red Sox, again, playoffs are different.
Yeah.
Going to a game is
Baseball,
different.
yeah.
But so I remember coming in, and I was like, you know, everyone's kind of, oh, like, what are you into? What are you into? And I was like, growing up, I was way more into like I did dirt bikes and skateboarding and whatever. And then also wrestling. So I remember like on like one day I was just like, oh, like, and this is when RBK still worked here, obviously.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, like I'm definitely like a wrestling guy. And then like it was very casually mentioned, like it's Nick or whoever's like, oh, no, Dante's also likes wrestling, or RBK also likes wrestling. I was like, oh, cool. Like that was like it. And then we, you know, over the time, like I'd see you and RBK talk about like some wrestling stuff, and then like, you know, if a pay-per-view would happen, we'd say, oh, you can see the pay-per-view last night, whatever. Yeah. But it wasn't really until maybe like a little before we started doing the first theme song video or whatever, like I realized how actually big of a fan you were. And like maybe I don't want to speak for you, but it seems like your wrestling fandom has been way more expressed. Maybe hasn't been expressed as much. Sure. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No. I understand what you're saying completely.
Just like working here at Lumber. I mean, obviously, no one else is a fan, so why would it come out?
Why would you come out and talk about it 100%?
But like, it is. I always thought it was like funny how it's like I started, and it took me like months to kind of, you know, come out as a wrestling fan.
No, but there's truth to that, because I feel like wrestling is one of those things where it's like it gets like a bad rep, kind of. It's stereotypical.
Yeah.
Like you think of wrestling fans, you think of like, oh, it's fake, it's not a sport, stuff like that. So like, you know, some people are embarrassed to admit that they like watching or they're a wrestling fan. And I think honestly, like genuinely, I think like us being here talking about openly and stuff makes me like, listen, if I go out and I've never tweeted about wrestling. Now I'll probably tweet about Double or Nothing on Sundays. Like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
There are plenty of and this channel, this podcast and stuff tells me there are so many people out there, bro. It's like,
and it's cool again, dude.
It's
cool
really
again,
is, dude. Just being like, you're an adult, but you're being a kid again, kind of watching. Especially like seeing all these guys that were around, like when we did the Royal Rumble thing. Your friends, we're seeing Orton, Edge, and it's just like bringing.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my favorite thing is to show, because I'll do it with like my other friends too, who like have zero interest in it. Like I'll make if we're hanging out on Friday, SmackDown's like turn SmackDown or whatever, and they're not into it until they see fucking what's his face from the Street Profits? What's the fuck?
Montez Ford.
Yeah, until they see Montez Ford hit that frog splash from fucking 20 feet up.
The ceiling,
or fucking they see Jeff Hardy hit a swanton onto a table onto Darby.
Or like a Randy Orton RKO or
exactly.
something.
And they're like, oh, holy shit. And then now they're like, come on, Big E, come on. And they're into it.
Dude,
they get into it.
At the end of the day, like, listen, everyone knows wrestling is fake. It's scripted. They're not hitting each other. They're still doing physical, like, things like
it's one of the most impressive
things. But it's like,
in
it's
the world.
meant to be entertaining.
Right.
The whole point, especially WWE, like AEW is a little different, but like, the whole point of WWE is the storylines, the what's going on. They don't focus as much on the match as the production and everything behind it. That's what's supposed to be the enjoyable part about it.
Someone described it to me as like a Broadway or just like a show in general where like it's less of like where the audience is part of the show. Yeah. So it's like everyone
audience plays a huge part in wrestling. Huge.
And everyone kind of lets go. I forget what the term is. Let's go of any sort of like realism, and they just kind of like when they're in there, when you're watching it, you just kind of buckle up and you're there for the ride.
It's
you're
a whole
not
different
there,
world.
and you're participating in the show with the wrestlers. Yeah. So if someone gets hit in the head with a steel chair, the guys in the ring know it's protected. The announcers know it's protected. You as an audience member know, oh, that person didn't actually get hurt, but all of those people all react with, oh, whoa, you know what I mean?
Good, looked like it hurt.
Exactly. And everyone participates in this fantasy storytelling thing that I don't think a lot of people, it takes like watching it and to be a fan to realize that it's this back and forth Broadway participation thing. And that's what's so fun about it is getting to participate. You know, you don't get to participate in the game other than like being a cheering fan. Right. Like in a baseball game or if you're at Fenway, you don't really get to have that sense of participating in the act or in the show.
1,000%.
But wrestling, you get to boo and MJF.
Yeah, you can be a part of it.
You get to choose what you cheer, or what you dislike or like whatever. And I think that's like the biggest thing that I think once you get it, then you're like, oh, I get it. This is sick.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of realism in wrestling. It's just you have to have an open mind. Like if you're just like someone that thinks of the stereotypical wrestling fake, that's not, and you go and you watch it, of course you're not going to be into it. But if you go into it thinking like, okay, I know this is fake, but this is the purpose. Like this is the reason why they do it. It's a suspension.
Suspension of what is it? Suspension disbelief. Suspension of belief. Something like that.
Sure.
Whatever,
well, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But it's like I would recommend. Like first of all, if you don't really watch wrestling, I'd recommend AEW for a casual jump in because it's more.
Especially
it seems like it's more real. Exactly. Like because people you watch that, it seems like they're actually doing. Like hurting each other more than WWE. There's more like it's more extreme, hardcore, and the storylines are great. It feels real. Like the way the guy like CM Punk Hangman, the promo it felt real. Like it felt like there was a lot of like hate between the two guys. It's just you gotta allow it. Listen, there's nothing wrong being a wrestling fan. It's fun, dude. It's just another thing to enjoy and watch, and you get your friends together, like we were talking about. Have a great time. I mean, back in college, dude. One of the best memories I have in college was my freshman year when we watched WrestleMania and the Hardys returned. I will never forget that moment with my friends. It was like 8 or 9 of us, and it was just hearing that music we were all jumping because that was our child. You know what I mean?
It has to be the best return in history.
I can't think of many
gotta be one of the biggest
Edge,
pops.
maybe. Oh, dude,
Edge is up there, but
he's up there.
It's gotta be the biggest pop.
Like, for me, obviously,
sure.
I said Jeff Hardy is my favorite wrestler. So just like hearing that music, we had 2 minutes before we ordered food for pickup, and the guy's like, "We're here," and I literally went to leave, and because they were about to start the match, and New Day's like, the New Day music hits. I'm like, "Oh!" And they're like, "We got one more," and I'm like, "I can't get the guy's calling me." I'm like, "I can't."
And they did it so well. They did like we got one more, and they kind of start stretching, and they're waiting, and then the
music hits, dude. It's like you let wrestling into your life. It could create some of the best moments. It really could.
I think that's the hardest part for new fans, because like, admittedly, like, a large part of wrestling is like a nostalgia or things playing on like the past. Because like, obviously, if you didn't grow up loving Jeff Hardy and you just started watching wrestling as like even like 16, 18, 20-year-old, and then you saw that WrestleMania, that pop, sure, you'd be excited if you like learned the history.
Get it as much.
But exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part was like a buddy of mine was saying, like, he said to me one day, so like, I want to get into it. Like, it seems cool to get into. Mm-hmm. However, I just like didn't watch it as a kid, so I just wouldn't. He was like aware that like he wouldn't get enough up front, at least
100%.
It's an investment.
It's a lot easier to watch as a kid, stop watching, and then get back into it than it is never watching it and just starting.
I don't know many wrestling fans that started as an adult.
100%.
At least most of them. I'm not going to say all, but most of them had to have started as a kid, because that's what the
parents introduce you to.
Yeah,
you just like
and that's
find it on
that's
TV.
how you get that reaction of the Hardys coming back. It's because all those people in the arena remember watching them 20 years ago.
100%.
And then you hear that pop, and you hear it's like it is something that no other sport or show or whatever has.
And
really,
another thing too, since you kind of brought it up, the thing with wrestling that I really love, you can go back and watch matches from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That can be all-time classics. You can't really go back. I'm not going to go back and watch an old baseball game, a regular baseball. You know what I mean?
Why would you watch
basketball.
like a random 2008 Celtics game from the middle of the season?
Right, exactly. But you can put on. I mean, we have Peacock, so you just put on. You can throw on any pay-per-view. Like some nights if I'm like have nothing to watch and I'm just bored, I'll just go on Peacock and I'll put in like a Money in the Bank match or something like that and just have it on,
watch
or
one of
just
the old Royal
watch
Rumbles
it.
or something.
It's because like that stuff is timeless.
Yeah,
like, it really. There is some bad matches. Don't get me wrong.
Sure,
there's
some stories that don't age well, of course.
But there are some barn burners too, man. There are some classics that you can always just go back and watch. And that's another thing too. Growing up, you can watch all those things, and like even though you've watched it a few times, it's still every time it's just so cool.
Yeah, and I'm big on like I don't care. I'm big on the cheap nostalgia pop. I love it,
dude. I love it.
Love the nostalgia.
It's just about enjoying it. Just gotta enjoy it.
Well, Dante, I feel like that might be a good place.
I think
to
that
end.
was a good first episode, bro.
I think that might be a good place to end. Obviously not solid introduction. Again, not every episode is just going to be us being like, remember when we were 8. Remember. However, a lot of it is.
Right.
But in future episodes, we are going to get into like, the current landscape and recent shows and what's happening. Like, I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about like we got the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view coming up. We got obviously the Double or Nothing coming up. Like, there's big stuff happening. We're going to talk all about it. That's what this podcast is for. I'm excited. This was good. I think this was a perfect way to kick off the MBW podcast.
Get our feet wet, get everyone introduced to who we are. Obviously, they see us on YouTube, but don't really know too much background information about, our wrestling knowledge, where it came from, where we started. So I think this is going to be a great place for you guys to get to know us more. And hopefully, you guys enjoy it. You guys are along for the ride. And like we said earlier, without your guys' support, we wouldn't be here. So we really hope you guys enjoy this. And, drop us questions. Let us know what you want to hear. Obviously, we're men of the people. So we want to hear your opinions. And hopefully we can make this the best wrestling podcast there is. Because that is the goal.
That's the goal.
That's
baby.
the goal. So
MBW for life.
For life, baby.
Let's get some plugs off at the end here. Please, again, wherever you're listening to this or watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, like Dante said. Leave some comments with some suggestions and what you want to see and what you think of the pod. Also, I meant to mention this at the top of the show. Last night we passed 25,000 subs.
Woo!
So
Big
thank
time.
you guys. I
Big
posted in
time.
the community. But again, thank you guys for 25,000 subscribers. That is huge. Quarter of 100,000.
Quarter of the way there.
Quarter of the way there.
Quarter of 1,000.
Huge. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anything, please make sure to follow us on there. Leave a like and a review. I can't emphasize the like and review enough. That really helps out the pod in the charts and kind of gets us up there.
I want to do this number one, baby.
5 stars,
Number one.
ideally.
I mean, I'd like it.
Yeah.
I'd like it. I'd prefer it. Hopefully we get only 5-star ratings.
Come on.
Guys. Come on.
Follow us everywhere. If you want to see some wrestling takes on Twitter and Instagram, at Raspy Taylor, at Dante on Deck.
Thank you. TikTok. We're on TikTok.
We are on TikTok.
Mustache Bros Wrestling. Find us on TikTok.
Yeah.
We'll be posting videos every day. Promo videos, just videos of me and John.
And what I'm excited about is like funny clips from the podcast being clipped off.
Right.
Like I'm going to tell Bryant to clip off like the date thing. Like that was a good one to clip off. So that'll be something that's like on the TikTok and just get a little edit and like just fun stuff like that. So, check all of that stuff out. Again, we have a Patreon. We might, I don't want to give away anything, but we might try to figure out maybe how many patrons like can be on a live stream while we do this. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to figure out.
We'll
Either
figure
way,
some stuff out.
Patreon.com/Lumberlend. There's already a ton of stuff over there in terms of video extras and all that stuff. Without further ado, I'll stop talking. I'll stop getting the plugs off. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you haven't watched it, please check out our AEW predictions video we put out yesterday, and as well as all the other videos. You got to catch up on these videos. This is fun. Solid.
Awesome.
Cool. Till
Thank
next
you,
time.
guys.
Peace.